This is my husband, Steven, and this is our oldest son, Finn, back here. And we are the directors here at GRP, and we're super excited to meet all of your campers and play with you all in just a few short months here. Steven and I do all kinds of things at camp. We're driving buses, making announcements, helping out with activities, and just general support to all the counselors and staff that are here. We've got a couple of other staff members on, Hane and Catherine, and maybe Catherine, if you'll start off and introduce yourself, and then we'll send it to Hane.
Sounds good. Hey everybody, my name is Catherine. I am the Director of Education and Outreach at GRP, which really means you see me running around driving buses, fly fishing whenever I can, lifeguarding whenever I can, sometimes chasing after my dog Roscoe and saying, Roscoe, get back here. I also help run our family camp. So I'm seeing some names of those who are registered for rookie camp, which we filled up today. So awesome. And I'm excited to see y'all all there. And take it away, Hane.
Okay. Hey, I'm Hane, and I am the Director of Communication and Strategic Partnerships. I probably have emailed or spoken with many of you over the past couple of months, and will as we get closer, as I'm going to take on a registrar role through in the downtime. Here at camp, I can be found in the office, or I often teach out at the Pioneer Cabin and do a lot of outdoor cooking and cooking on a wood stove with campers. I also try and get the job daily of passing out the snack, because everyone's always glad to see me. This is my 9th summer at camp, and I'm lucky enough to live on the property with my husband and 3 children, so 2 of whom are base campers.
Okay, awesome. Thank you both, Catherine and Hane. All right, y'all, I just want to give you a little bit of an overview of what we're going to chat about tonight. I'm sure you all have seen on our summer safety page, we've got some information about summer camp this year, how we're going to be operating during the pandemic. And so I'm going to spend the first part of this evening just kind of going over some of those highlights, talking about some of the certain protocols that we're implementing in camp. And then really we want to open up to you all. This is geared towards first-time campers and camper parents, and want to know what questions you have, how we can be helpful and support you getting your campers ready to come to GRP this summer. As I said earlier, if you have any questions that come up during this, please just feel free to pop them in the chat. But since we've got such a small group too, we might, after I finish just going over these protocols, we'll just let people pop in as well with any questions in real time. Okay, so this protocol document that we put out, as I said, is on our summer safety page. You can download it, have a lovely cup of tea, and read all 15 pages of it at your leisure. But the main things that I just want to talk tonight about are kind of our guiding principles for how we are looking at operating camp. I think something that's important to say is these guidelines are out here right now for if we were to open camp tomorrow. We've seen a lot of progress in the last 2 weeks with the J&J vaccination coming out, and things are starting to look better. So our hope is, as we progress and get closer to camp, that maybe some of these guidelines might evolve. But in general, I think the main theme will be there, and if anything, we'll just be able to lessen any restrictions along the way. So our kind of guiding principles this summer are, number 1, outdoor programming. The beautiful thing about GRP is we're on 3,400 acres. All of our activities are outside as it is, with the exception of a handful like arts and crafts or pottery. But hand in hand with that, one of the most wonderful things about our buildings is they're all open, and that they've got screened windows or screened doors. And so ventilation inside our buildings is also really great. So our plan is just to translate any activities that we can outside. That includes evening programs as well. Some of them are held in the lodge, but the majority of them are actually held outside. So we'll just be doing a lot of outdoor programming. Number 2 is masking. Our plan is to have cabins operate as a family cohort. And so campers and their family cohort will not actually wear masks together. And within that family cohort, they'll go on the mentor hikes in the morning and they'll do activities in the afternoon. So our goal is truly to have our campers not masked. The main times that they will be putting on their mask is walking into the lodge for a meal. We'll serve up spaghetti or whatever it is that we're having. And then once everybody's served, we'll take down our mask and eat. Of course, some other precautions will be in place in the lodge, like our tables will be appropriately distanced and things like that. But those will be the main times, when we're congregating in larger groups outside of our family, when campers interact with campers outside of their family. Our next guiding principle is our cohorting, which is our family, and I've already kind of touched on this. Our cabins are set up as duplexes. So on one side, we've got 7 campers and 2 counselors. There are bathrooms in the middle. And then on the other side is another 7 campers and 2 counselors. So one cabin, both sides will operate as a family together. So it'll be up to about 14 kids and up to 4 counselors and 1 mentor as a cabin group. Our next guiding principle is distancing. Our campers are probably very used to this right now. So again, we're going to be outside, we're going to be distant from one another, and hand in hand with distancing outside and masking. Further down in our protocols, we talk about our goal is to have 2 out of 3. So truly, that's the thing that we're going to talk to our campers and our staff about. Okay, do you have 2 out of 3? We're outside, we're playing field games, we're running around, we're distanced. Okay, we don't need to be wearing a mask right now. So thinking about it that way. Quarantining. I know several people have asked, I've been getting a lot of emails about both our pre-camp quarantine and then what would happen during camp if we had to quarantine a cabin. So I'm going to talk briefly about both of those. Prior to coming camp, we are asking that all campers and staff get a PCR test as close to camp as possible, so 3 to 5 days. That PCR test, that negative test result is going to be like the golden ticket to camp is what we're calling it. So when you roll in on opening day, we're going to want to see a copy of that negative PCR test, as well as the 10-day symptom temperature monitoring sheet that you've been filling out prior to coming to camp. So you'll record that. You'll be, distancing during that time, being careful in your family bubble at home, and then you'll come to camp. And when you roll in, you'll pass us that monitoring form and that PCR test, and we'll get your camper moved into camp. Now, if we were to have a case at camp as well, or symptomatic or anything like that, we would be quarantining the camper, adjusting the schedule for that cabin or anybody else who's been in close contact with that camper who's being quarantined, and then we'll go through our emergency action plan or our response at that point in time. As a parent, you would be called. We would be testing the camper, of course, to see if there was a negative test or is this just symptomatic. And then we would move forward from there. We've got a couple of different avenues that we would take depending if that's a positive, a negative, or things like that. And I certainly can get further into that, but it's also all in the protocols too. But if y'all have questions, we can follow up on that. Our 6th guiding principle for the summer is going to be testing. Again, we spoke about that negative PCR test prior to coming to camp. When your camper arrives on opening day, we also will be conducting a rapid test. So before you even get out of the car, we'll just go ahead and give that to y'all. We ought to have the results in about 15 minutes, and then we'll be able to just, feel good. Okay, we've got a negative PCR test. We've got a negative rapid test. Let's go on in. For our 2 and our 3 week sessions, we'll actually retest our campers on day 5, as well as staff, to just make sure yet again, okay, did anything fall through the cracks? Is our bubble feeling good? which brings me to our next principle, protecting our bubble. The easiest way I can think about all of this, many of you all have been kind of living in your family bubble this last year. So that's our goal for Camp 2. We'll operate in our family cohorts. Some of our larger group gatherings might just be in our neighborhood, which would be 4 cabin groups. And then we are going to have a closed camp community. So that means as of right now, our staff are not leaving camp this summer. The staff that do come in and out every day, which is very few, but like our finance person, Alexandria, she comes in and out a couple days a week. She will not be interacting with campers. She will not be interacting with the rest of our staff. Delivery people will have certain protocols that they will be following. So we are going to be working our hardest to protect our bubble. Getting down to the end here, of course, is sanitizing and cleaning. We're going to be operating under clean in, clean out. So a lot of our staff are going to be equipped with spray bottles and hand sanitizer, all those things in a backpack. And anytime they're in an activity, we'll be spraying down surfaces and things like that. We'll have loads of hand sanitizer all around camp and do a lot of hand washing this summer. I was thinking an item we maybe should have even added to the packing list, just in case, would have been like a little bottle of lotion, because I could see, the amount of hand washing. But at the same time, we've all been doing a lot of that and taking care of ourselves. So we'll just continue to do that here at camp. The second to last principle that we're operating on is just rethinking and empowering. And I have to say, this has sort of been our motto and our guiding principle this entire pandemic running camp. How can we still make this happen, think outside the box, empower our staff, empower our campers, and have a good time? So we're gonna share a lot of this. We're trying to share a lot of this information today with you as campers, parents. We'll also be doing this on opening day, going over a lot of these protocols with the kids and putting the power in them to make good choices and make good decisions. That's what a huge part of camp is about. And we are pretty good youth experts at making this happen. So I feel great about this guiding principle. And then the last one is communication. So if you are a first-time camper parent, welcome. I apologize for not even doing that first off. We're so excited to have you this summer. GRP is amazing. And we're thrilled to be sharing that with you and your camper. Something you will get to know about us as an organization is we truly value relationships. We value this connection with you as parents. We value this connection with your campers. So we are open. We're transparent. We want you to know what's happening. We want you to know how things are going. So as we gear up for camp this spring, you've already started to get some of those parent emails. They're not going to stop. They're going to keep coming. We'll try and keep them short and brief. And we're going to have some more of these Zooms just so people are feeling good. They're not all going to be tailored towards COVID. They're going to be also tailored towards how to potentially deal with homesickness, or what eating in the dining hall might look like, things like that. So we'll be gearing up with all kinds of information as we get ready. But we truly feel like this is a partnership with you all. And so us sharing with you how we're working towards having a great program, and you sharing with us what your child needs, how they operate, or any tips and tricks, just strengthens that partnership with us. So thank y'all for all that. I'm going to be quiet now. That was a lot of information, and open up the floor to questions. Let's see what everybody's got.
Well, I was just going to say, sorry about that. I was going to say, I'm in healthcare administration. I've been working on COVID problems all year. Your protocol sounds amazing. So kudos to your team for developing that. I've been involved in protocol development. What an awesome job. So just wanted to say, I'm very reassured by that. So.
Thank you. Thank you.
And to then just add to that, Lachlan will be finishing school at the end of May. So I think his self-quarantining period's only going to be about 8 or 9 days and not a full 10 days. Is that acceptable?
Yes.
Okay. And the school he goes to is, I mean, they've been doing an amazing job. So yeah, he actually just went back to school in person like 2 weeks ago. So
congratulations.
Yeah, so they've been doing a really good job, but I just wanted to make sure that that was okay and didn't want to assume anything.
Yeah, thank you for asking that. And I did expect that question to come up. I've gotten that from a few parents, and
Okay.
my response is certainly exactly what you've indicated. It's mostly kids are still going to be in school. And, you know, as long as the school is following CDC guidelines and taking appropriate protocols, then that will fall within that quarantine period, you know.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a question, count in the chat. Will counselors be required to receive a COVID vaccine, or will parents be required to be vaccinated?
Sure. Really smart question. So counselors were deemed essential workers, and our goal is to have 100% of our staff vaccinated. So we are working towards making that happening. We're sending out information to staff, and I will say at this point, we're about a third there. So that's our goal. That's what we're working towards, and certainly fighting for it because it will make things logistically a lot easier, honestly. So parents of campers, no, that's, you know, that I guess if that, I'm assuming that question might be in context to opening day. Maybe, I'm not sure, but parents will not be getting out of the car on opening day. They won't be actually coming into the cabin with the campers. And so as far as, you know, vaccination or not, that's up to you all.
We have a question sort of related to our two kids who will be 7 and 10. They're coming for session 6, which is the first 2 weeks of August, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if, I mean, no one can read the future, but I'm thinking by late summer that there will be a lot more adults vaccinated by that point. And I'm wondering if you foresee first being able to ease some of those restrictions. And secondly, like the bubble of each cabin being its own thing, like if that could also be eased a bit too by that point, because it'd be nice for the two of them to be able to sort of see and interact with each other a little bit. And, you know, them being different age groups would normally be separated, I guess.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. Oh, I'm echoing. I don't know, Hane, if you want to answer that maybe?
Sure. So that's been the interesting thing of all of this, is trying to build scaffolding to support camp this summer with, we say it's like building on sand because it's evolving all the time. So we have to move forward like we're opening camp today. And you're absolutely right. I mean, if federal statements ring true that everyone who wants a vaccine can get one by the 1st of May, then that does change some things. However, we want to make really sure that all of our camper families are treated equitably. And so if someone didn't have access to a vaccine when their kid was coming here, that they wouldn't. That's why we're keeping parents in the car as of right now, because we don't know who's going to be vaccinated and who's not, and we want it to be fair for all. That doesn't mean we can't continue to re-examine that as we get closer to summer. As for your siblings, we have so many sibling groups here, and we love having sisters, brothers, and families here. while they, depending on their age, they may be in the same neighborhood, which means our 4 youngest cabins of boys and our 4 youngest cabins of girls will be in a collective neighborhood, and they'll be doing more things together. But we're also creating a lot of downtime, free time for groups. And even though we're on 3,500 acres, our base camp is fairly intimate, and we will see each other throughout the day. I mean, passing in meals. And so it could even be, they could rendezvous on the dam on the way up to meals just to say, hi, how you doing? Check in with each other. But it's not going to be like, oh, you see your brother or sister over there, you can't talk to them because they're not in your family. You're on camp. So we are very sensitive to family relationships, and especially for first-time campers, how they can allay fears of each other. Does that answer your question?
Yes, they have spent an awful lot of time together this past year, so they may not want anything to do with each other, but we just wanted the option available. So,
absolutely.
What other questions are out there?
This is probably going to require like a 4-hour answer, but I'll let you sort of sum it up with the question on homesickness, and maybe not so much even for, but thinking about the 7 and the 10-year-old. How frequent is it? I grew up when what's his name, Alan Sherman did the Hello Mother, Hello Father song. Oh, yeah. And thinking about how it started off awful and then finished great. So how do you deal with that? You don't have to like send kids home. Is it really frequent? It's not a problem. Anyway.
Sure. Happy to give you not a 4-hour answer right now, but maybe later. And we will be doing some more information on this later too. So a couple things I can share with you right now. We talk about this a lot with our staff during staff training, and how to support campers and ways to keep them active and busy. I will say camp in general works on our side, and that there's a schedule, we're moving from one thing to the next, and homesickness tends to really happen when there's downtime, when there's reflection time. And so there is that time certainly built within the daily schedule, but it's not a lot. And so that right off the bat kind of helps with that. And then first line of defense, is going to be that counselor working with the child. I have to tell you, frequency, it's not a lot. During a typical session, we have up to 112 campers. And out of those 112, we might have 5 on various levels of the homesickness spectrum, one being really emotional, and the other 4 just, oh, I miss my mom, or I miss my dad, or I miss my cat, whatever it is on that end. So the frequency, I would say, is not a ton, but what would happen if a child was homesick is the counselor would first off really work with them and work some of the strategy tools that we teach during staff training. We have a pretty high level of communication among our staff in general. So we're going to hear about those homesick campers within the first 24 hours, especially of camp up in the office. Then within the first 48 hours, so campers arrive on Sunday, and on Tuesday, all first-time camper parents actually get a phone call from one of our directors at camp. And so we will call you and check in with you. And one of the questions that we specifically are working with the counselors on to be able to relay information to you all is, how is this camper doing? Are they homesick? Are they not? What's going on? So you will get a direct report on that as well. And then I have to say, if a counselor is not able to troubleshoot a problem solve or has exhausted their resources on that end, more leadership staff, including myself, is going to pop in. I personally was probably the most crazy homesick camper there ever was when I was 7 years old. I have framed in my office my postcard that I wrote home that says, "Mom, if you don't come pick me up from camp, I will die," and my 7-year-old handwriting. So I love the homesick campers, and working through this struggle with them is kind of one of my favorite things about summer camp, because I love that satisfaction of them on the other side just going, "Oh, I did this. I made it through. I can do this. Oh man, I'm going to come back next year," and having that turnaround. So ultimately, a camper is going to come to us in the office if they are really upset. And honestly, you as a parent will be getting a phone call. And it wouldn't necessarily be, "We're sending them home." It's just more, "Hey, we want to let you know about this. And we've tried X, Y, and Z. Is there something that you would suggest? We might work with you on that end to figure that out." So that was a lot of different parts to that answer. Again, we will be talking about this more, but please let me know if there's anything further on that you want information on.
And we have a question. Will campers be able to connect with their camp family ahead of time? And our answer to that is not their specific camp family, because a family cabin lists are evolving up until the night before your kids get here. And oftentimes that's because of a myriad of things, be it camper requests that come in last minute to be cabin mates, or we've got an age shuffle that we need to deal with. So not your exact family group, but we're hosting lots of get-togethers for, like Catherine is hosting one next week for our 2-week campers. So if you've got campers registered for 2 weeks, have them jump on next Tuesday. They can see other kids. And it's really fun to be on those Zoom calls, because they care about the important things like, are we going on camp out, or what activities am I going to do? Or, they want to know the nitty gritty of what their days will look like here. And so that's really helpful for new campers too, I think, to just kind of start to see faces ahead of time. So, and we also know that that's important, particularly this year, where a lot of, at least in our house, there's been a lot of social anxiety because they've been out of the school system for a while. So just to start to get used to being around other kids again.
I'm going to jump into real quick. We are also going to host a Zoom meetup for our 1 week, and then that rookie camp as well. So be on the lookout if you have a 1-weeker or a rookie camper.
There's a great question in here that your son is coming without a quote unquote buddy, and should I reach out to find a friend in the area who is going, or should I just let it go? Your son will have 13 other buddies by the first night, and we've found that our kids, like, it's a beautiful thing to let them come to camp without their best friend, because then they can show up as whoever they want to be without preconceived notions of self. And I think that's a really important step in their autonomy away from home. So do not worry about that at all. Let's see.
I see this about letter writing being encouraged. Absolutely, yes. And we have a couple pro tips for you all with that. Go ahead and write a letter a couple days before and put it in the mail, just so you know that it will make it there on time. If we get it before your child arrives, we'll hold on to it. Another thing that we're happy to do on opening day is take some too, if you want to hand it over to us, and we can spread it out. So that's another little tip. But campers love mail. It's always a big time. We have that every day at rest hour. There's mail call. Care packages are allowed to be sent. We just ask that you don't send any food or anything like that. But even like a fun cabin game always is a great care package, but certainly not necessary either. Letters are a pretty exciting thing as well.
And if I would jump in and say, if you do have a 1-week camper, I would encourage you to do the pile of letters to drop off at drop off when you bring your camper here, and we can do it subtly, you know, behind the car kind of thing. And you just have first, second, third, and we'll spread them out and get them to them on time. Because the saddest thing is when we get a stack of mail that arrives after they've gone home. We'll forward it on to you, but that if they're just here for a week, that prevents some of that.
And I wrote this to Donna, but I'm going to respond to this here in the chat too, just about tearing up about my 7-year-old postcard with camp. That story turned very positive. I'm now a camp director. I ended up going back to camp for 10 more summers and being a staff member, and it truly turned around. And so I think if anything, I just really empathize with those campers who are maybe taking a little bit longer to adjust to the camp lifestyle.
She ran and hid at closing day.
Yeah, I did. They then had like a camp-wide search for me because they couldn't find me because I didn't want to leave camp. So it really came full circle. Okay, are there any other questions from folks at this point in time? All right, you all. Well, we just truly appreciate you. We're so grateful to have you all as part of the GRP community, and we're excited to be on this journey with you all, getting your camper ready for summer camp. Please know you're always welcome to reach out to any of us, phone, email, whatever works. We're excited to hear your questions and help you along the way. So thank y'all for this evening, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.